I was just singing Benson Boone. I was like, wait a second. People hearing me, and I don't have my lip gloss on yet.
Yeah, we're live right now.
Do we have our intro?
Yes, I'll fire that off.
Play the damn beautiful bean footage while I put my lipstick on.
Welcome, everyone, to the Chasta and Huey podcast. It's like hanging out with your childhood buddies at a dive bar having a beer together. Through your headphones. Or better yet, they're like a security blanket. Maybe a little itchy, but still warm and cozy. It's time for the show. Here's Chasta and Huey. Cheers.
Ooh, cheers.
Cheers.
Brother? How we doing, brother?
Man, I feel like it's a little bit of a scramble getting on the air here and just you and I running around and some little technical issues we're dealing with. So, but
yes.
We're live. We're back.
We are live. I am going to go ahead and give my disclaimer, though.
Okay.
So for anyone specifically, well, I was going to say watching, but listening or watching, yeah. I had a boo-boo in my home studio today. So long story short, I usually plug in a webcam and I plug in an external mic here so that my audio and video for the live feed here on YouTube is better. Yeah. But as I was trying to get ready, I ran over with my computer chair, my little, what is this called, Huey? An adapter? It's like a
hub, like a USB hub. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran over the little prongs. You can see there, it's like crunched. And so I can't plug it into my laptop anymore. Therefore, I can't have external shit into my laptop. So here we are. So I don't look as great and I probably don't sound as great, but it is what it is. Actually, I'm going to take out my earrings so they don't bang my AirPods, which is where my audio is coming from. But we're still here. Do we still get points for being here?
How's our audio sounding? Michaela,
what do you think? Michaela is a character on this show.
Yeah, she's like our producer. She could be our producer.
She is our producer. We're gonna upgrade you. Hate to tell you, there's no budget for this show, but Michaela, you'll be our producer. You can put it on your resume, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, so I've got to go buy another one of these.
We know people. We worked with people who faked their stuff on their resume.
Oh God, are you kidding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people use their kids.
Yeah, isn't it? Amazing how that works. Anyway, so we are back, and yesterday we didn't get to jump on live because we had a lot of stuff going on. This is Dan. Dan's with us. Dan? What's up? Dan Delay in the house.
Dan, how's my mic audio? Does it sound okay?
Your audio sounds great.
Cool.
Your mic is really, really good. 10 out of 10. Michaela, that's what Michaela rates as 10 out of 10. So, okay, let's just jump into it because we've got a lot to go over, and I have to make sure I'm done by the time I got to get my Disney winner on the air. By the way, I wore my Disney. Oh, can you see it? My Disney shirt, which I think we just posted on social, a video of me wearing this. So people are going to be like, does she own another shirt? But it's my Haunted Mansion sweater. I wanted to wear it today because we're giving away Disneyland tickets.
Nice.
So Coachella has happened for 2 weekends in a row. There's been a lot going on, a lot to talk about. So we thought, all right, you know what? Let's cover some of these hot topics. Yes.
Sorry, I just realized. So I stopped by 7-Eleven yesterday and I saw the Post Malone cookies there. And you
didn't get me any.
I'll get you.
You did not. Something. God dang it. What is wrong with you?
Well, I don't know. Do you want a whole pack or you want the little pack?
No, the little pack is fine. I don't eat that much sweets.
I'll go back and get it. Yeah, it's the one by my brother's work. But I'll check the 7-Eleven up here too.
Well, if you don't listen to Bone Breakers, first of all, shame on you. But secondly, you would have missed out on the shame that I gave Huey because I wanted Post Malone Oreos. He found a pack, ate a whole row, apparently, and then didn't even bring any.
Yes. Well, I saw that because Post Malone played Coachella. So I was looking at the lineup here. So that made me thought the cookies I saw yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. So the headlines. Okay. So you and I both agree. We like Post Malone. We think he's
cool. My dad loves him.
Yes, yeah, he is very, very cool. He's coming to Oracle Park in July with Jelly Roll. My mom and I will be there. We're rolling out. Cannot wait for that. My mom's a huge Jelly Roll fan.
Wait,
huge.
Where are you going to roll out at that concert?
Where are we going to roll out? What do you mean? What? Oh. Sorry, I didn't get the drug reference. And also, coming from you, like you don't do drugs. Listen how freaking old I sound. You don't do the pot. You don't roll the weed. My God,
Sorry.
This is gonna be our social media post. Clip it.
Clip it.
We need merch. We need merch that says clip it.
Which, by the way, please follow us on social at Chasta and Huey. We got a lot of great clips up there. on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our YouTube shorts as well. And please give everything you a like. It's free to do. It doesn't cost any money, and it helps us out so much.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's get into some Coachella headlines, starting with weekend one. Everyone was ripping on Benson Boone. And I'm just going to say I'm over it. Yeah. I'm over people ripping on not only Benson Boone, but just ripping on people they don't like. Like, shut the fuck up and just don't pay attention to him. Scroll on. Don't listen. I think he is a great artist. Even if I didn't like him like vocally or whatever, I think he tries his ass off. Mm-hmm. He's out there making some shit happen. And I just hate people that bag on it. It makes me so irritated.
Yeah, so
I'm in a mood today, if you can't tell.
I can tell. So yeah, this past weekend was weekend 2 for Coachella. The weekend before was weekend 1, and Benson Mood, who was looking at the. Did
you say Benson Mood?
Boone. Benson Boone.
Okay, Lamont. Benson Boone.
I can go on a separate tangent.
I know. Remember, we're live. We can't edit this. Careful.
Bite my tongue.
Yes.
But, yes, Benson Boone, looks like he was close to the top, like almost, not the headliner, but one headliner, Lady Gaga was. But so he covered Bohemian Rhapsody, and he was dressed up in a jumpsuit, sequence jumpsuit, kind of Freddie Mercury-esque. And
which is his style, by the way. He's always in a jumpsuit.
So I don't know who after last Friday, I looked him up, and I was like, who is this guy? And I guess he was American Idol contestant a few years ago.
So you didn't even know about him at all before Coachella?
No.
Amazing. Okay.
So
all right.
I've only known about for a week and a half now. Like he's on my radar now.
I found him on TikTok. That's where he exploded, was on TikTok.
Which I will get into second. My point about what he did was awesome. So Benson Boone, he had the sequence Freddie Mercury-esque. He jumped off the piano like a flip, and I was like, that's badass. Landed on his feet and kept walking. But during the first weekend, he was covering Bohemian Rhapsody, and he had Brian May come out like. It was awesome, like entrance. He made him rise up from the top of the stage, and he rips into his solo during the performance, and it was epic. First off, I do want to give what's the word? Bad props to the Coachella social media people. They were posting a video of that sequence right there. They cut off the video right during Brian May's guitar solo. So people are commenting.
They did? I didn't even see that.
Guitar solo. Now, I get it. Maybe they hit the 60-second like time limit, for a good, a reel you're supposed to post on social media. But it was like the time for you see Benson Boone, introduce Brian May and the guitar solo. They cut it off during the solo. I was like, oh, you cut it off during the best part. So a lot of people were just saying bad social media people. How dare you?
That's awful. I mean, Brian May is a fucking legend. So like, seriously, that's insane.
But then I guess a lot of people were commenting like, how dare this young guy's butchering an iconic song. And, like Freddie Mercury be rolling his grave right now. First,
he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
You don't know Freddie Mercury. You don't know.
I know Freddie Mercury, and I know he would not. No, he would love it. He would be eating it up. Are you kidding? He went for it. He is over the top. He always dresses in those jumpsuits.
Yeah.
He does have, I think he has a good voice. He has kind of a higher register. Mm-hmm. And let's just like give the dude props for taking on such a horribly difficult song too. I mean, there's that. Like, if he got up there and totally botched it, like, okay, that would be different, but he didn't. Matt Sorm, did you see what Matt Sorm posted on Instagram?
No.
Our boy, Matt, and I can say that because we have interviewed him a few times, even interviewed him sitting in his closet with his dog. That was hilarious. So he said, and I'll read this entirely because I think there's some really cool stuff in it. Day one of Coachella for me, and most inspired by this young man, Benson Boone. Now, this is a legend in the rock world, okay? So, take note. He absolutely crushed it. I was blown away by his performance. The sound in the house was absolutely perfect. Sometimes we don't give enough credit to the sound guy, but it made it even more powerful in the room. As a drummer, that is the foundation, but overall the band was A-level musicians laying it down. Okay. Killer band, quite possibly the best vocal live sound I've ever heard, with a singer that transcends his vocal abilities with insane range and completely blew my mind. A star was born.
Okay.
Come on. I mean, so there is something to be said for seeing a show live in the room. And when I say room, obviously it's Coachella, it's not a room, but you know what I mean? Like in the moment versus seeing something on social or on TV or whatever.
I'm just tired of people gatekeeping of what music you can like and don't like, or who can work with who can collab with who can make a guest appearance with who. Fuck that.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, but here's my thing. Like Benson Boone playing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is what, over 45 years. I'm trying to think what year it came out. Was it late 70s?
Remember, yeah.
So over 45 years ago. There's a lot of people in that audience who probably don't even know what that song is. Like, let's be real. Like, there might be a lot of people under the age of 25 who, unfortunately, maybe don't listen to the radio, did not grow up around classic rock or were exposed to classic rock. So they have no idea what that song is. But they listen to that and they'd be like, wow, that's a really cool song. And they're probably like, oh, who's this Brian May guy? Or maybe they watched it and they're like, who's this guy coming on stage?
They were probably like, that guy looks like a rocket scientist. Oh, wait, he is.
They're like, who is that? And then, maybe later that night when they get home or wherever, they check out the clip again. They're like, oh, Brian May. Oh, he's in a band called Queen. I really like that song. Oh, I didn't know it was a cover. Let me go find the original, listen to the original. And maybe the rest of the weekend, they go down a deep dive listening to a bunch of Queen music. And then with that, they're like, okay, what other bands sound like Queen? And they start listening to other stuff. Who knows? Maybe the last week that you expose yourself to a whole new audience. So for Brian May, I'm sure he is super happy that his music is being heard and discovered by a new generation of young kids. And that helps our industry, the classic rock industry, rock radio, whatever you want to call it, rock music, rock industry, exposes that music to a whole new audience and hopefully get new fans.
And I think what you just said, a lot of people take for granted. I think people, when it comes to bands that are so iconic like Queen or Led Zeppelin or whatever, I think they just assume everyone knows who they are. But you and I, we work in this industry, and I can't tell you how many times we have met people that don't know, like, hey, what was that song you just played on the Bone? Meanwhile, it's Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. And you go, how in the world do you not know? But you can't assume that people are always exposed to everything. Yeah. And maybe they didn't have parents that really were into music and they like music and they're diving in on their own. Isn't it part of our job? And quite literally, you and I, our job, but isn't, as music lovers, okay, I'll just take it to that point. Isn't it part of our job that we do teach the younger generations or even our own generation, people that weren't exposed to that, about this great music? Isn't that quite literally passing the torch, keeping that torch going for rock and for these bands? Like, what's bad about that?
Yeah.
God, it makes me so angry.
You're right. But that's my thing. It's like, and there are times, maybe we're jaded because we hear a lot of these songs every week, multiple times a week, or, multiple times a month, whatever.
Yep.
But it's amazing how every once in a while I do get, like, we check the text lines or an email or whatever, and someone says, what was that song you played? And it's like, what? You didn't know that song? Like, we heard it 1,000 times, if not more. Yeah. But yeah, some people might be like, oh, that's new, or that's new to my ears. But that's what I'm getting at, is like Benson Boone, like Queen and the powers that behind Queen, whoever runs Queen, Brian May and the rest of his crew, are probably so thankful that Benson Boone introduced their song to a whole new audience, and hopefully that increase like their streams. Maybe people go buy the vinyl. Hell, maybe when Queen goes on tour, they'll get some new fans in attendance, people to buy tickets for them. Like, it's a win-win situation. Brian May doing that, I don't know what, 10-minute guest appearance on stage at Coachella, which is one of the more trendy festivals from here around the world. It's gonna do so much, business for them, but also just the continued legacy of that band. And you're right. I'm sure Freddie Mercury, if he was alive, would love it that someone is paying tribute to his song and recognizing, acknowledging his music. And that's why I get so frustrated, is these people who are gatekeeping about, like I said, who, like, it feels like unless it's the original artist doing the song, no one else can touch that song ever again. Just let it be. And it's like, come on. That's how you pay it forward. Like, for me, like, if it wasn't for my older brother, I would not have been exposed to a lot of great music growing up. So I feel like Benson Boone is, like, for a lot of young kids, maybe that is their older brother, introducing them to a lot of great new music. And so with that being said, they probably gained so many new Queen followers that weekend. So I want to give kudos to Benson Boone for recognizing that. He could have just got maybe someone else on the festival, that one of his peers, someone around the same age or same format or genre that he performs, whatever. But no, instead he went outside the box and brought Brian May in, who is a legend. And so for us, it's exciting because that way it gets Queen in the news. So it gives us something fresh to talk about on the air. But also, when Queen comes around, I mean, like, I've seen Queen before with Adam Lambert, and that's different too. A lot of people hate on that because it's not Freddie Mercury. Everyone thought the band should have just died unfortunately, when Freddie Mercury died, well, it's like, no, the rest of the members are alive. They want to,
and it's not fair to stop them.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I've always thought that about bands like Stone Temple Pilots is a good example, like Scott Weiland,
yes.
AC/DC, and I mean, even like Scott Weiland, you know, he passed away from. I'm saying this as kindly as I can, questionable decisions in his life. Why should a band, the rest of the members, be
penalized?
Punished?
Yeah.
You know, like, why would they be punished for that? That's not fair to them. And hell, the DeLeo brothers wrote most of that stuff anyway. So it's like, you know, it just bothers me. I'm going to like dovetail off of this because it actually has to do with Freddie Mercury and Queen as well. This week, I posted a guy on Instagram, an artist called Spencer Sutherland. He was an artist that I found on a sponsored ad. And I was like, oh, he's on tour with the Struts. So it's like, okay, I clicked on him. I'm like, wow, he is really good. Clearly very heavily influenced by a Freddie Mercury, maybe a David Bowie. He kind of is on this path of trying to bring back glam rock. And I loved it. And so I posted, I can't tell you how many people in my DMs were like, oh, but this is bullshit. This quiz has already been done. Queen's already been done. Blah, blah. And I was just like, then don't like it. Then just, move on. Like, why do you just have to shit talk all these artists? It's just exhausting.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, that's my thing too. Like, you think about like Greta Van Fleet, for example, when they first got big, everyone's like, it's a Led Zeppelin ripoff. And it's like, okay, I see the influence and the look and everything. And it's like, they're young, they're just getting started. And so let them age a little bit. And over time, they kind of evolve, and they have evolved since then. Yeah. And so that's great. But at the same time, that's the problem with, I think, with music is, you see a band like Greta Van Fleet. It's like, if I'm a young person, you see a young band and you're like, oh, that sounds like a Led Zeppelin. It's like, okay, I like Greta Van Fleet. I'm gonna do a deep dive and figure out other bands that they sound like, and that's when you get exposed. Like for me, I fell in love with Green Day in the mid '90s, and I was like, okay, they're punk rock. What are some bands that they sound like or influenced by? And I started discovering those bands, and then over time, that's how I fell in love with just the punk rock genre in itself, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, of course it does. Well, and anybody who like rips on Greta Van Fleet for sounding just like Led Zeppelin has clearly not done enough research to know that Led Zeppelin, sorry, I'm going to say the unpopular part out loud, ripped off blues artists in a lot of ways. So, I mean, they've had multiple lawsuits about it, so things are inspired by a lot of different things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, if you're going to be inspired by anyone, why not go to the top? Why not be from the best? Right. And it's like, that only makes sense to me.
But that's like, for example, Greta Van Fleet, you and I, we went and saw them at the Masonic years ago. And it was such a wide range of people. There were older people who you could tell probably grew up loving Led Zeppelin. They're probably so excited that they can't go see Led Zeppelin now, but they can see a band similar in
has
style.
That sound.
Yes, and it's like great, and want to see that live concert experience. People our age who grew up, maybe their parents played Led Zeppelin for them. It's like, okay, cool. This could be my Led Zeppelin now, and even young kids too, like their children with them. So they cover like 3 different eras of people. So to me, that's just cool. And so with that being said, like a band like Benson, or an artist like Benson Boone here, who has Brian May, he did a huge service for Queen. And with that, getting so many new Queen exposure for them, it's just an amazing thing. And like, that's my thing. It's like, do people just expect a band to exist and perform and let the genre just die? That's what's also frustrating.
It's like they want it to exist in a vacuum. It's like it can only be right here doing this specific thing that I know and I relate to.
But that's my problem. It's like, do you want rock music to just die out then? Like, you don't want it to evolve or people acknowledge their influences of the past and talk about it or work with the people in the past. They just rather have those bands do their thing and just let them die. And then that's how the genre will die out eventually. It's not fair. So I hate people who are just negative. Why do you want to be negative? Don't you want to see rock get exposure and keep rock alive? Rock is in a tough place right now. Let's be real. Pop music, hip hop are more mainstream and used in the mainstream. MTV, whatever is considered mainstream these days. Rock is in a tough spot. It's battling for people's attention, very much like radio. So that's why I'm saying, like, anytime rock can get the rub, as they say in pro wrestling, the rub by working with or being affiliated with someone in the more mainstream, it just helps out the rock genre in general as well.
I agree. Yeah. And being in some of these headlines with Coachella definitely does as well. Green Day, let's spill the Green Day drama between Green Day, better said probably Trey Cool specifically, and Charlie XCX. Okay, so I'll give you the overarching headlines and I want you to cover the rest because Green Day is your favorite band of all time. So basically, Green Day was a headliner. Charlie XCX was like just before them. So the second tier, not co-headliner, but second tier. And she was seen at an after party wearing like a sash that said, Miss should have been the headliner. Like basically saying, and everybody took that as a dig directly at Green Day because she played before Green Day, right? Yeah. And so that was like all of the hullabaloo. I love that Trey online posted a picture on Instagram of himself wearing a sash that said actual headliner, which I thought was just brilliant.
But then again, Charlie, she then retweeted Trey Cool's image and said obsessed. So it's almost like, okay, maybe
it's a tongue-in-cheek thing. Yeah,
it's not so much.
I think at first it wasn't I should say at first it seemed it was perceived that it wasn't. I don't think Charlie XCX, I don't know much about her at all. But it doesn't seem that she's like a vicious, vile person by any means. I mean, who knows? Somebody may have made that sash and put it on her. I don't know. Yeah. But I think now the whole thing is sort of tongue in cheek and little pokes.
Playful. So I think originally people saw it and be like, oh, like how dare all the Green Day fans came out and supported Green Day. And said, how dare she, like, screw her. And then the fact Trey Cool, has a response like, yeah, there we go, Trey, speak up for the band, defend the band. That's great. But then the fact that she then responds like, oh, cool your horses. It's right. They're being playful with each other.
It's not that serious. It's really not that serious. But I mean, I will say for the record, if Charlie XCX was really serious and was really throwing shade, I never think that looks good. I never think, no matter what genre you're in, no matter where your place, where your lot in life is, I think you should always be grateful to be where you are. Like, be grateful for standing in the moment that you're standing in. So I'm not saying that she was, but if she was serious, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's you're playing one of the biggest festivals in the world. Back-to-back weekends. Most festivals can't do back-to-back weekends, and all the attention you get. So it's and watch Green Day and her might maybe do a collab or something down the road.
I think that would be fun because I'm not anti-collab. I like when genres cross over. I think it's interesting. I like when Lady Gaga played with Metallica. I like when a pop artist cross over into rock and show that side of their love of music. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's. We'll see how it goes. I think, I think that's the big takeaway I want people to realize. It's like, I think you and I love our job. We love our industry. We know the lifeblood is the music, and we want rock music, since we are part of a rock format station, to keep staying relevant. And let's be real. We know a lot of these bands are getting older. They're not as active or as busy or doing things outside of touring. So sometimes there's not a lot to talk about with these bands. So when a big legacy band, one of our hardcore bands that we play, does something significant, we make a big deal out of it, and we want people to embrace it and care about it, and hopefully it will trickle down to us. Be like, oh, you guys play Queen. Maybe, who knows? Maybe some kid last weekend who was at Coachella is from the Bay Area, went down there for the weekend, fell in love with Brian May and Queen. Maybe they come back to the Bay Area and start listening to us now because they're obsessed with Queen now. So that's the full. The full circle here as far as that's why we're so open. We're okay with bands working together and artists of different genres working together, young embracing the old and whatnot. It's I still get it. Like I said, when people complain, it's like, what do you want? You just want people not to do it at all and just let the music die. And to me, like I said, that cannot happen. That's not fair. I mean, I'm sure Freddie Mercury would be pissed.
Yeah, I think to boil it down even more, like, yes, you and I work for a rock radio station, so obviously we want rock and radio to survive, no question about it. But I think even boiling it down to just the basics of who we are, you and I, to our core, love rock. Period. Like, we love a lot of different types of music, a lot of genres. I mean, I listen to 1930s jazz a lot of times. Like, I listen to all kinds of stuff. But to my core, I'm a rock girl. I'm a rock fan. You are as well. So we want to keep that alive. But I think rock, and this is going to be a hot take. And actually, I just pulled up the comments. I didn't have them on. Dan DeLay loves when I get sassy. Dan, here we go. This is going to be a bit sassy. I think rock sometimes in that way we can be a little bit of our worst enemy because we're like, oh, if you like this kind of metal, then you can't like that over there. Or if you like this kind of rock, then you could never like this. And it's like, we pretend and I'm saying as a big group, right? I think we pretend that we're all inclusive. Like we're the freaks over here, you can come in our club, but that's actually not the truth. I don't think it's the truth at all. I think it can be, especially in some of those communities, it can be very exclusive.
Yeah, I remember right out of high school, I fell in love with like punk music around here. I was going to a lot of punk shows, but I felt like there was two different punk genres or scenes, punk scenes here in the Bay Area. There was like the crusty underground punk scene, hardcore punk bands, and then there was like more of the pop punk clean style. I love both. Like I said, I love Green Day, so my natural heart is with melodic pop punk stuff. But at the same time, I fell in love with the Ramones, Misfits, Black Flag, hardcore punk, like even like the old like Discharge and UK punk bands, and like a lot of dirty punk, as they would say. So with that, it's just so I would go to these underground shows, and it was like the dirtiest of the dirty, the tough of the tough. Mohawks, tattoos, drinking, drugs, all this stuff. And then I would go to like a pop punk show, and it's just kids jumping up and down, having fun, wearing Dickies, looking like Blink-182 minis with all their Dickie clothes, skateboarder clothes. And I love both genres, but yes, I would be afraid to admit one to the other, or especially the hardcore scene. Like I would not wear like a Green Day shirt to a hardcore punk show. You'd be like, oh, who are those guys?
Because you know the judgment you would get.
Exactly. And so yeah, I mean, and actually I would go to the pop punk shows wearing so many of the hardcore punk stuff, and I would look like the tough guy there. So I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, you always look like the tough guy.
Exactly.
Baby Huey with his baby face is always the tough guy.
But that's my thing is like, I mean, I was young, so I was not like fully confident, mature, all that stuff. Now I don't give a fuck. I'll go like to a metal. You see me, I'll go to a metal show wearing a Green Day shirt. I dare someone to give me shit. I'll be like, fuck you. They're one of the biggest bands in the world. You're just fucking jealous because you're a loser and you're not nowhere near successful as Billy Joe Armstrong. So fuck off. That's my band. I will defend them till the day I die. What's up, Billy Joe? I got your back.
Clip it. Michaela said she's working on the merch already. I think in summation, because we do have a Huey help we need to get to. In summation, actually, Dan said it really well. Gatekeeping is lame. Music is universal. Yeah. Amen. I love it. Michaela, why can't we all just get along? Amen to that as well. We got Chris Roma on with us. Preach. Yes.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I know that you guys may agree with us that are here commenting in real time, but I know, and I could name off some people. I won't. Because I don't want to start that much shit. But I could name off some people right now that would think that we were lame for even suggesting that. I love Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith as my favorites, Janis Joplin, but I also appreciate Coldplay. All right, so come at me, bro. Come at me. Dude,
okay, shout out Rob Flynn. He did a 4-hour podcast with Chris Garza, the guitarist from Suicide Silence, on the Garza podcast. In that interview, he admitted he loves Coldplay.
See? I'm not alone. Rob I knew I loved you.
Rob Flynn admitted how much he loves Coldplay, and like I think it was his firstborn had trouble sleeping. When they play Coldplay, he would stop crying. Like,
oh, that's sweet. That's cute. That's how Ella Fitzgerald was and Billie Holiday were.
And I do want to shout out Dan DeLay. He did bring up a good point. For me, obviously, I grew up on Queen, just on the radio, MTV, all that stuff. But yeah, also Wayne's World. But yeah, a lot of young kids today don't even get the Wayne's World Queen reference now. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah, no, they don't. Actually, people like 10 years younger than us don't even get that, which really bums me out.
Yeah, so Benson Boone, like I thank him so much for introducing Queen to a whole new audience and exposing their music, and hopefully it just creates more Queen fans, more rock fans, and we see just so many great things after that. I mean, I'm curious. I wonder if Benson Boone will go on tour with Queen. That might be
how cool would that be? That would be very fun. I would love that. Mm-hmm. All right, one more thing. Yes, Michaela, we are going to get to do the Dave Grohl thing. We'll do one more Coachella thing before we get into our Huey help. So yes, Dave Grohl did pop on this weekend, weekend 2 at Coachella. They did a symphony. I think it was the LA Philharmonic that was there. I'm not really sure. I don't want to be quoted on that. Yeah, Coldplay does have some dope songs, Dan. They really do. If you want to get me in the feels and get the like tears coming, woo, they'll get me there quick. But Dave Grohl came up and played with the orchestra, with the symphony. From my vantage point, all I saw online in social media was negative comments. That's all I saw. Were people hating on, I mean, brutal, like talking about his personal life, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't see anything kind. Watching it, I was like, okay, cool. Like I was stoked, but man, people, at least what I saw, it was not pretty. Michaela, what did you see? Did you see positivity?
Let's see. Okay. I just saw one clip of Everlong. It was a real quick clip, Everlong with the horns playing. So it was different. I'm not gonna hate on it. It was just different, and I think some people said, "Oh, is Foo Fighters gonna go ska now or something?"
Oh yeah, yeah. Because again, we can't be different in our musical taste. We can't, can't step outside the box.
I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and hate on it, so I will do a deep dive.
But you could also say it wasn't for you. Like it's okay to say not for me and move on. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't just Dave, by the way. They had, I forgot the actress from Wicked. Crap. I should know her. I didn't see Wicked, but,
Ariana Grande?
No. The other one, who played Elphaba, I think is her name. I've never seen Wicked. I don't know anything about Wicked, so don't come at me for that one. But anyway, Cynthia Erivo, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I think so. People are so annoyed that Cynthia. Yeah. They had her come out and she did Purple Rain. Nice. Okay. Holy Lord. Again, I'm not into Broadway. That's not my genre. I usually don't really like dig into that stuff, which is why I've never seen Wicked. But oh my God, that girl can sing her ass off. And that's one of the greatest songs of all time. So, there's that.
Okay. Sweet.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. That is our Coachella wrap. I love it. Love it. Okay. Before I have to go get my Disney winner. And Michaela, no, I don't think you can win Disney tickets, darling. I think you can't be related to me, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. All right. So we've got a Huey help. Now, full disclosure, I have not read this. I only read the headline. And the headline made me laugh. So I was like, okay, well, this is the one we're going with. The headline was, my boss thinks I'm his therapist. I thought this could be fun.
Yeah. So shout out to our listeners for emailing us. You can do so. Chasta and Huey, spell AND@gmail.com. Yeah, gmail.com.
Ooh, Chris Relva, good comment. Too many times judgments come from small minds. Music moves us all in different ways. Amen, brother. Yeah. Which is why we love you, Chris. All right. So Kara wrote in, I have been working at a small company for 3 years, and my boss has always treated me like a friend, texting me, joking around in meetings, sometimes oversharing about his personal life. Recently, he's been going through a messy divorce, and our once breezy relationship has turned into him calling me after hours to vent or cry about his failed marriage. I've tried to cut it off by not responding after a certain hour, but now he's bringing it up at work, pulling me into his office for quick chats. I don't want to be his therapist, but I'm afraid that I will, if I try to establish hard boundaries, it's going to jeopardize my job. That's a legitimate fear. Do I continue being his emotional support or risk my job? Okay, so what's interesting here, let me just say the funny part is I technically on paper, I am Huey's boss. So it's funny that we're even talking about this. I've had my own experiences with bosses, but you and I we exist in this really interesting place because you and I have known each other for about 15 years, I think, maybe a little bit more than that.
So we've been working together for 13, but we knew each other longer before that.
Exactly. And so, and I've only been your boss for almost 4 years. So that's an interesting dynamic. And there were plenty of people that were worried about me stepping into a role where I was the boss of my friends. Because everybody I worked with at the Bone, I was like family close with. Yeah. And some people even said it can't be done. You cannot do it. Grade me, Huey. Grade me here on the live podcast. How have I done with that sort of like, we're in professional mode, now we're in friend mode? Because that's how I try to compartmentalize.
Phenomenal. Well, I think that's the thing. You always give that disclaimer, like real talk, like we're talking about something. You're like, okay, let me put my boss hat on. And all right, let's talk as in these terms. And then you're like, okay, hat off, friend to friend.
Friend to friend.
Private room. Okay. This is what I think you need to do or whatnot. And I respect that too, like being honest. So I know I can trust you no matter the situation. Our situation's different than I think this person who emailed us. Sounds like these two people met through work in these pre-established positions.
Roles.
Yeah. So I don't know when this guy started, but I'm guessing she was the boss. This guy started working for her. You and I, like, we started at the bottom and worked our way up. So we started at the bottom as friends.
Started at the bottom, now we're here. Started at the bottom, now the whole gang's here.
We're like the Jeffersons. We're moving on up.
Yes, moving on up.
Look at that 50-year-old reference.
I know, right? Look at us.
So,
impressive.
But you get what I'm saying? So our situation is a little bit different because we started at the bottom. We became friends, became best friends. I got to know your family and other friends. You
became Uncle Danny.
Yeah, your whole world. And then we started moving on up, and then we reach our respective positions that we're in now. So there's a little more gray area in our particular situation.
Agreed.
With that being said, we're both very vocal of like, okay, work mode, this is how we're going to deal with this situation or deal with this person and whatnot. Case by case situation. But then, after hours, non-business hours, work, we're back to, being friends, or even sometimes at work stuff. It's like, okay, from a boss, we got to treat this situation like this, even though as a friend, we know, okay, this is what's really going on or whatnot. It's a lot of gray area. It's not black and white. And I think just life in general, there's a lot of gray area. With that being said, this person here, it sounds a little more black and white compared to you and I. So I think this person, I think she has every right to speak up and say, listen, I'm just your boss here. Like, we're cool as friends to a certain extent. And that's the thing. I have a lot of work relations with people. I think we're cool as friends. Yeah. We're friends at work. And this is a great example. How many times we worked with people who we thought were at work, were great friends, but as soon as they let go or quit or whatever the situation, they're gone out of your life. You never hear from them again. So like, okay, so we're just work friends. Like,
I've been duped by that a few times, unfortunately. We both have.
So I think this is more of just a work friend. So I think that work friend is like maybe reading too much into this and like using this person. It makes you wonder, do they have not any other emotional support around them, family, friends that they can tap into? But then again, maybe sometimes I notice it's easier to talk to a coworker or someone out of my immediate circle because it's just a different perspective and it's easier to talk to almost like a stranger compared to someone really close with. You know what I mean?
Oh, you do that. Like you'll find people do that like on a plane, for example. They'll just start like spitting out their whole life to you. And you're like, I don't know this person, because it is exactly what you just said. It's like, okay, this person doesn't have preconceived notions of me. Yeah. They're outside of my frame of reference. And so it becomes very pure. I think
it's like Forrest Gump. He just starts
right, exactly. Life is a box of chocolates. Exactly. I think I think where you're headed, your inclination is right, where you're setting up sort of these boundaries by just not responding outside of office hours. Yeah. I think that's a good place to start. It's like you do have to have your own boundaries. This is my time, that's work time. And if it gets too too personal inside of work hours, I do agree with Huey. I think you do at some point need to say something like, hey, I really appreciate our closeness and I appreciate that you trust me with these things, but I just want to make sure that, we have a working relationship, and try to find a professional way to say it.
I don't have time.
Because it's not going to end well. I don't have time for you. Yeah. Bitch, I ain't your therapist. Okay, maybe don't say that.
What was the joke? Or like, I don't have time for any more new friends. Like, leave me alone. But that's what I think. It's. I think it's important to be vocal. I think it's important to have heart-to-heart conversations with people. But set up those boundaries. Like, listen, I'm your boss. Like, let's just deal with the work here. If we talk outside work, that's fine. But like, I can't get caught up in all this other stuff. Like, and just ask them, maybe can you ask some other people to help you out or do something with, with the situation to resolve this? It's to say, it's a lot for me to take on. I'm not ready to. I think it's important just to be vocal. That's my big thing.
I agree. I think I would be really cautious of giving them advice that would steer them in the wrong direction. Yeah. And then that might come back and haunt me at work. Like there's that boundary of personal and professional. I wanted to read a couple of comments. So Dan is saying, I'm super tight with my boss, the owner. Being older, I have clear lines of what is work and what is friendship. There's also a level of respect for him as an employer. That's really, really well said. Yeah. And that's the way you have to have it. Unfortunately, that's not the way that everybody usually does. I had a boss one time that treated me way too much like a friend. And that one that one came back to bite me in the ass because I was young and I thought we were friends. And then it turned out we weren't friends. And he just actually wanted to date me. Okay. Chris Relva, I found you open yourself up to certain levels of interaction. I agree with Huey. Sometimes you have to measure your empathy or sympathy without judgment or guidance that helps to make a boundary. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Huey is better at this than I am, actually. Like, I think you are more of a private person. Like you make smarter decisions about your privacy and you're more level-headed than I am. I don't have a filter. And so oftentimes I overshare. That's part of my nature. And I will find sometimes I have done that in levels of professionalism where I'm like, maybe shouldn't have said that to my boss or whatever.
Well, my situation is a little different because I was very vocal about my personal life in the past and I got kind of burnt from it.
You have trauma tied to it now?
Yeah, how can I phrase this?
See, this is what I'm saying. Huey thinks before he speaks. I don't always. I don't always do what he's doing right now.
In the past, I felt like the only way I could get on the air if I had a goofy or embarrassing story to share. And so
if you were the heel, look at my wrestling reference.
But
if you were with the heel, the heel would be a bad guy. Is that
the clown
villain?
It'd be more like the clown. I mean,
it'd be more like the clown.
I felt like in the past,
you had to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah, over the last 20 years working in radio, for example, I felt like the only way my value to the station was the only way I can get on the air is if I had an embarrassing or goofy story to share. And so with that, it just kind of sucked over time. I was like, okay, people are only hearing my voice when I have something ridiculous to share about what happened to me in my personal life. And I don't want people just to know me for that as a clown. There's a lot more layers to me that I want people to know about. And so with that, I started pulling back a little bit and pulling up more of a wall because I'm like, I want people to know me more for me. But now I'm not getting as much airtime as I wanted to, or as I was hoping for. And so it's a catch-22. It's like, okay, do I have to do ridiculous things? Do people only see value in me by being a jackass? And I don't want people to know me for that. So,
and that's totally fair. And sometimes that can backfire on you, those boundaries. And to our friend who wrote in, Kara, I believe it was. I just lost the screen. Let's see.
I was just looking here. I realized, it does suck for her because her boss is coming to her.
Right, exactly. That's where I'm saying that could backfire you. I don't want to sit here and be like, kumbaya, put up your boundaries and everything will be okay. Because we don't know what kind of person this boss is. And sometimes as you have found, sometimes putting up boundaries can backfire. That can have some sort of reaction. But I have to say, I don't think that's reason for you to not put up boundaries. I think boundaries are important. And I think where your comfortability, whatever that means, to your boss or your coworkers or whatever, I think that's worth putting up that boundary.
I will say real quick for her situation, this is a situation where I think, have it in writing too. This is your boss coming at you and you're starting to feel uncomfortable. At least tell your boss, hey, listen, I appreciate all the help, but I just don't have the time and energy to talk about all this personal stuff. Have it in writing. So if there's ever a situation of whose story, one side versus the other story, at least you have like a paper trail to get you out of the situation, because this is your boss coming to you and you're feeling uncomfortable. So at least you have a paper trail. Like, I'm from a more legal standpoint. That's what I'm getting at too.
Agreed. Paper trail is always key.
Yeah, no. And then, but okay, for you and I have no problem when you come talk to me about something that's bothering you. I'm always, an open ear whenever you need something.
Oh, you're my sounding board for everything. There's no question about it. So, but I typically don't do that inside of work hours. That's typically on a weekend where you and I are out having beers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a different thing.
That too. And I think that's the thing. It's like separate the two, because then it just, you don't want to blur the lines too much. Like, work stuff is work stuff. Outside, after hours, save it for that too.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I have to go get my Disney winner, and I see Nikki Black has taken over my computer screen. So I'm gonna, which is fine. She's getting ready for her show, but I just looked over and it was moving, and I was like, that's Nikki. Okay.
Slow down, Nikki.
I know. Yeah. Take it slow, Nikki. Take it slow. She likes to move things around. She drops all kinds of cool stuff in her show, which is fine. But yeah, it's definitely moving around on me. Okay. So I'm going to go get my Disney winner. Either of you going to Sofa on Sunday? Dan, I'm going to try to go to Sofa on Sunday. Jay is out of town this this weekend, and Cody has a soccer game Sunday. So I'm going to try to see if I can do all of that at once. So Huey and I are usually a package deal. We'll see what we can figure out.
Let's go, and you can vent to me about all the BS in your life.
Yes. Yes, that I can definitely do.
While talking over bands playing.
Exactly, while yelling over bands playing and having a beer. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. We love you so much. And I am mentioning Disney. I should go ahead and promote the fact that we do have Disneyland tickets on the air this week in 2 different hours, 8 a.m. hour, with Lamont, and then in the noon o'clock hour with me. So just make sure you're listening to The Bone, and hopefully you win those tickets, because if you win, you also qualify for a Disney vacation. So pop over to 1077thebone.com for all those details. Okay, that was my big promo. Gotta go.
Awesome. Yes. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Love you guys. Okay.